Hey there, and welcome to the Divorce Planner Podcast. I'm your host, divorce prep coach Alex Beatty. We made it to week 4 of my bonus summer series featuring 4 different coaching frameworks that I use with clients every single day, and I've saved the best one for last. Reframing divorce from an ending to your best next chapter. Over the past 3 weeks, we've talked about what to do when you've emotionally checked out of your marriage, how to tell your spouse you want a divorce, and walked through how to prepare before you even book an attorney consultation or file. Today's episode is about using your divorce as an opportunity to intentionally create your best next chapter. For most people, this is the first time in years, or maybe even ever, that they're being asked to stop and figure out who they actually are, what they want, and what kind of life they want to build. The problem is that most people skip this step and rush headfirst into the next relationship or distraction, or in order to avoid all of the tough feelings that bubble up, they end up recreating a version of the life that they just left without even stopping to ask whether any of it is actually what they want. So today, I'm sharing my 5-step framework for reflection and rebuilding during and after divorce, the process that takes you from seeing your divorce as an ending to designing your best next chapter. Let's dive in. Before I walk you through the 5 steps, I need to be upfront with you. This work is not easy and it's not instant. So if you came here looking for a quick reset, this isn't that. What I'm about to share with you is the kind of work that takes time, intention, and a willingness to look honestly at yourself, including some parts that may have contributed to where you are right now. Look, divorce is disorienting in a way that's hard to describe until you're in it. Your daily rhythm, your social circle, your financial reality, your future plans, all of it is built around us or the family. And now it's just you. And that can be incredibly destabilizing. Getting distracted from that kind of reality is very tempting. So when someone offers you attention, validation, companionship, or excitement within weeks or months of your separation, it can feel like oxygen. Of course you want it. People who skip this work end up making decisions from a place of loneliness instead of self-knowledge. They jump into rebound relationships to fill a void. They make choices based on what feels good right now instead of what aligns with their values and their future. They recreate old patterns because they never stop to examine what created them in the first place. So instead of divorce then becoming a catalyst for genuine reset, it becomes just another chapter in a story they didn't intentionally write. A new address, a new relationship, same version of themselves. But consider this. What if your divorce is actually your awakening? Not a punishment, not just an ending, an awakening to who you actually are, what you actually need, and how you actually want to live. That reframe from ending to opportunity is what this entire episode is about, and it starts with 5 steps. Before I walk you through each step, I want to tell you what they're designed to do collectively, because understanding the through line makes each step even more powerful. Every step in this framework is designed to build self-awareness, real self-awareness, the kind that changes how you make decisions, how you show up in relationships, and how you move through the world. And they build on each other in a specific order. First, you'll give yourself the gift of pause, so you create self-awareness. Next, you identify your values and your non-negotiables, so you make decisions aligned with who you are. Then, every decision you make starts moving you towards your best next chapter. This work is how you break patterns. It's how you stop blindly reacting to big life change and start intentionally designing what comes next. This is how divorce becomes not just an ending, but a genuine reset. The first step sounds simple, but it might be the most powerful tool in this entire framework and the one that most people have trouble with: the pause. And I mean that in 2 ways. First, there's the macro pause, giving yourself real time and space between your divorce and your next significant decision or relationship. Not rushing head first into the next thing before you've had a chance to get your bearings. The second is the micro pause. And this is the one you can start using today, right in the middle of everything. It's that breath that you take before you respond to that text from your ex, the moment you give yourself before signing something, the beat you create between what you're feeling and what you do about it. And here's why both matter. Divorce is one of the most reactive environments you'll ever be in. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels personal. And when you react from that place, from fear, from anger, from loneliness, you make decisions that serve the emotion you're feeling right now rather than the life you're trying to build. The pause gives you back control, not control over what your spouse does, not control over how long divorce is going to take, but control over how you respond. And that's the only control that actually matters because it's the only one that actually shapes your life. How much time for the macro pause? That varies. But here's a good baseline. If you're reaching for someone or something to fill a void, you need more time. If you're making major decisions from a place of, I need to escape, you need more time. And if you don't know who you are without your ex or without being married, you definitely need more time. Here's what I want you to hold on to. Every week you spend in intentional reflection now saves you months or even years of repeating old patterns later. The pause isn't passive. It's the foundation for building your future. Here's something that might surprise you. Researchers at the University of Pavia in Italy discovered that just 2 minutes of silence proved more beneficial to your stress levels than 5 minutes of quiet rest. They weren't studying silence, they actually stumbled onto it. During divorce, when stress feels permanently stuck on high, intentional silence becomes your reset button. Now, I want to acknowledge something real. If you're newly separated or living alone for the first time in years, silence can feel overwhelming instead of peaceful, and that's completely normal. Start by getting comfortable with silence in small steps. Build in quiet time with a cup of coffee before the day starts. Sit in your parked car before walking into work. You don't have to meditate. You just need to practice the pause. This gives your nervous system permission to slow down. Your clarity starts in stillness, and the clarity you find there is what makes every step that follows possible. Whether you're using the macro pause to give yourself time or the micro pause to give yourself a beat, the principle is the same. You're creating space between what's happening and your response to it. We'll be back after a quick break. Hey, it's Alex. If you've been listening to this show, you already know that preparation is everything. The Divorce Prep course is how you put it all into practice. Coaching videos combined with the divorce checklists, asset logs, and monthly budget spreadsheet I use with my private clients. These tools walk you through exactly what to gather, how to organize your finances, and how to prepare for every stage of divorce. It's self-paced, and at $127, it's the most affordable way for you to do your prep work with me. You can find the course at www.thedivorceplanner.net. Here's the question at the heart of this entire framework. Who are you now? You cannot build a life that's authentically yours if you don't know who you actually are. And most of us, especially after years in a marriage that wasn't working, have lost touch with that. I want you to sit with 4 honest questions this week. First, who were you before the marriage? Before the version you changed yourself into for that life with your ex, not the person you became in response to their patterns, but who were you before that? Second, who do you want to be now? Not who you think you should be, not who would look good to a potential partner or friend. Who do you actually want to become? Third, what has changed and what has stayed the same? When you look at who you were before and who you want to become, what are the threads that run through both versions? Those constants, that core self. That matters more than anything else in this step. Fourth, what did you lose in the marriage? What parts of yourself did you compromise, diminish, or abandon to make the relationship work? What do you want back? The last question is the hardest one because building your next chapter isn't just about what you want your life to look like. It's about who you need to become to actually live it. So now that you have a clear sense of who you are, you need to know what you actually need, not just what you want, but what you need. The things you will not compromise on as you build your life moving forward. Here are 3 things to identify, and they're distinct, so don't blur them together. First, your core values. These are the things that matter so much to you that you will not negotiate on them at all, no matter how attractive the alternative seems. Things like integrity, honesty, growth, independence, kindness. Get specific. What are yours? Second, your deal breakers. The things that would end a relationship or opportunity instantly. Know these before you're in the moment trying to decide, because in the moment, it's much harder to think clearly. Your deal breakers are the guardrails of your decision making. Third, learn the difference between what you need and what you want. You need a partner who respects you. You want a partner who's 6'7". One is negotiable and one isn't. Write these down, read them again, tattoo them on your brain, because when you're lonely or excited or swept up in something new, you're going to need to remember what you promised yourself. Your non-negotiables are not just a checklist for dating. They're a filter for every decision you make, every opportunity you pursue, every relationship you invest in, every choice about how you spend your time and energy. They're what keeps you aligned with the life you're building instead of just drifting back into old patterns. Now we build your vision. Now that you know who you are, let's pinpoint where you want to go. Think through these areas. Career. What kind of work energizes you? What would make you excited to get up in the morning? What work-life balance do you want? Health. How do you want to feel in your body? What habits do you have to support that? And what habits do you need to incorporate into your daily routine? Relationships. What kind of friendships do you want? What does your support system look like? What kind of romantic partner, if any, do you actually want in your life? Personal growth. What are you learning? How are you expanding? What brings you meaning beyond your relationships, family, or work? And joy. This is such an important area. What brings you joy? What lights you up? This one matters more than people usually give it credit for. Finally, cement your vision, whether it's writing it down or making a vision board or just sitting quietly and describing it to yourself in detail. What does your best next chapter actually look like? And here's the thing about this step. It's not magical thinking, it's intention setting. Research on what's called future self-continuity, the degree to which you feel connected to your future self, shows that people who can clearly envision who they're becoming make better long-term decisions, resist short-term impulses, and stay more resilient through difficulty. I recorded an episode about this in season 1, Dear Future Self. It's a great companion for this step. Give it a listen if you want to have me guide you through the exercise. I'll link it in the show notes. We'll be back after a quick break. Hey, it's Alex. If you're ready to start preparing, I created a 4-email divorce prep series that walks you through everything you need to know to prepare emotionally, administratively, financially, and strategically for divorce. Over 4 emails, you'll get clear, actionable tips on identifying divorce goals and priorities, checklists for gathering the necessary statements and documents that attorneys and mediators need in order to get right to work, financial planning tools that help you replace fear with clarity, and attorney consultation tips that put you in control during meetings so you get the answers you need and save time and money. The emails are spaced out automatically to give you time to actually do the work. No guesswork, no overwhelm, just an easy-to-follow divorce prep roadmap. Head to www.thedivorceplanner.net/divorce-prep-series to sign up, or check the show notes for a link. Let's get back to today's episode. Now you have everything you need. You've paused, you know yourself, you know what you won't compromise on, and you can see where you're going. The final step is making decisions from the foundation you've created every single day, for the rest of the process and beyond. This is what I mean by alignment. Every choice you face, whether it's dating somebody, taking a job, making a financial decision, or how you respond to your ex, they all get run through the same filter. Does this align with who I'm becoming? Does this serve the vision I built? This is about making decisions that your future self will thank you for. It's the same principle as the 5-5-5 rule that is one of my coaching frameworks for making decisions during divorce, just with a different application. I did a whole episode about it in season 1 of the podcast. I'll link that as well. Here's the simplest way to tell the difference between a decision that's aligned and one that's just filling a void. One keeps you on the path with more momentum and energy, and the other distracts you from it. When you can feel that difference in your body, in your gut, you know what to do. When you build from alignment, 3 things happen. You're able to say no to things that feel good in the moment, but don't serve your best interests. You recognize the difference between reactive choices and intentional ones. Reactive choices feel urgent and emotional. Intentional choices feel clear and grounded. And you start building a post-divorce life that's actually completely yours, not a reaction to your marriage, not a performance for anybody else, but a genuine expression of who you've become. And that's the goal. That's what all 5 steps are building towards, your best next chapter on your terms, aligned with your most authentic self. Here's what I want you to take away from today. Divorce is hard, but it is also, and I say this as someone who's lived through it, one of the most powerful opportunities of your life. It's an invitation to stop, to get honest, to break the patterns that haven't been serving you, to figure out who you actually are and what you want, maybe even for the first time. Most people don't get to ask that question until they're forced to. Divorce forces the question. So take the pause, do the self-awareness work, get clear on what you won't compromise on, build the vision, and then make every decision from that place, not from fear, not from anger, not from loneliness, but from a clear, grounded sense of who you are and where you're going. The Stoics have a phrase that I come back to time and time again. Your best revenge is living well. Not winning the argument, not making your ex regret it. Living well, building something real and full and yours. And that's what this framework is about. And I hope you're walking away from today's episode and the entire summer series with the tools to do exactly that. Season 2 of the Divorce Planner podcast launches on September 2nd. I've got an incredible lineup of guests and conversations that I cannot wait for you to hear. Subscribe now so you don't miss the premiere. And if this series has helped you, leave a review and share it with somebody who needs it. That's how we change the conversation around divorce from something shameful and isolating to something we can navigate with support, preparation, and hope. That's a wrap for the Summer Framework series. See you in season 2. That's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you found it helpful. For more free resources, check out my blog at www.thedivorceplanner.net/blog. You'll find articles on how to emotionally and financially prepare for divorce, gain insights into the process from divorce experts, and empower yourself with tips and tools that make your divorce journey easier. And you can follow me on Instagram at the.divorce.planner, on Facebook at Divorce Prep, and on YouTube at The Divorce Planner for daily divorce prep tips and support. I'm Alex Beatty, and this has been the Divorce Planner Podcast. Until next time, remember, divorce is hard. Preparing for one doesn't have to be.